We are live. Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Throne. I am your host, Hunter Chin, but I'm joined by my co-host, the Z-Man, Zaddeus Smith. How's it going, man?
Going good, sir. Going well. How are you doing, my good friend?
I am doing fantastic. I just got done watching last night's episode of House of the Dragon, episode 2, and I'm so excited to get into this episode. Z, so start off by letting us know how you thought, or what you thought about last night's episode.
Well, it was definitely, at least in my way, in my feelings, I liked last week's episode, but this one made me I liked a lot more in it because I think it. Well, again, last week was great episode, good introductory episode. This one kind of made us feel. We kind of got a deeper look into some of the characters more. Made us feel, or at least made me feel for some characters a lot more than I did last week in a major way. Because I'm ready to declare myself a stand for a certain person for life. I'm not sure if people can see the little title right here, but forever, for life, I'm a Ray Ray stan. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll talk about Ray Ray. Yes, of course, I mean Rhaenyra, but we'll dive a little bit deeper into that later.
Right, I love it. Yes, I absolutely love this episode. Uh, what's good about it is it builds on top of what episode one already showed us and gave us more of that, even with the time jump, which we'll get into. I'm already loving all the characters, um, and some characters I feel like could rival those of our greatest Game of Thrones characters that I can't wait to talk about.
True,
So,
I can see where you're coming from.
so with that, how we're going to break this down is a little different. I did write notes for this one. So I'm going to go off of my notes, and then me and Z will talk about the point that we bring up. Okay.
Cool.
So we got to start now. Again, full spoilers for episode two. So if you haven't watched it, go watch episode two, and then come back and join us. We got to start off at the very beginning. The title sequence. The music is back, baby.
I was I was so happy. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was gonna if we were gonna get new interesting a new theme song and like new video. Which the video I thought was dope as hell, and I can't wait to keep on exploring that throughout the rest of the season. But
By the way,
yes, here,
I have
yeah,
notes on the meaning of the opening title sequence in a second.
I kind of have some small ideas, but I just can't wait to see how it also changes like throughout the season. Because hopefully, if some things get torn down, maybe in the future, and some things get burned up, maybe we'll also see it affect the interest like it did like in Game of Thrones season 7 and 8. But like I was just so happy to hear the interest back, the interest, the theme song again. Like I even wrote down, Ramin is the best. He's the man. And like I would have been okay if it would have had a different theme because it is a different show. But just because it's here, just because we got it back, makes me love the show even more.
I definitely agree. So going off of my notes, it says the title scene not only has the OG Game of Thrones theme song, but it represents the Targaryen bloodline and family tree. And the flowing blood represents not only the bloodline, but the potential bloodshed of the Targaryen civil war.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking like fire and blood now, and that's what makes me think like eventually we see the blood basically running through the streets, which I think is possibly Old Valyria. I don't know for sure, but we see the blood. When are we going to see the fire? Which I think is one of those things we're going to see throughout the season. Because of course, when the dragon sigil like start burning at the end, okay, that's just like a little bit of fire. I can't wait to see it all on fire, kind of.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see what bloodshed we get from this Targaryen civil war. They've been setting up a lot in the past two episodes, surprisingly.
That's true. That's true.
Which we should mention um, that season two of this has been announced by HBO already after the very first episode. So I am super excited to see what this team can do with more episodes and more time to work on each episode.
Exactly. It took one season for it to come. One episode to be renewed for a second season. Now, will it be on HBO Max? Is the real question because HBO is doing their own things right now. But that's a story for a different show.
Yeah. So after we got done talking about the title sequence, we open up the episode with Corliss Valerian, Lord Admiral of the ship. He warns the king about Kratos Dunhar, the crab feeder, who in this episode has taken routing to who has routed the pirates of the free land, or the cities, I should say. This is also the time where Chorus tries to get the king to get rid of Brit, but the king is not ready to go to war. Then we see the Master of Coin, Beeberry, Lord Beesbury, reminds him that going to war with free cities will come with incalculable losses. I
Mhm.
thought about this opening scene and kind of setting up what I'm thinking is our main villain for this season.
I agree with you on that, and then also it kind of brought back into my mind who the free cities necessarily were, because when I think I heard it like we heard it last episode too. I'm like, free city. Why is that not coming to mind? Then when they actually said Pentos and Volantis, I'm like, okay, so that's across. Is that across the Narrow Sea? I think, or like in Essos technically. So, and I think the Bank of Bravos is over there also is one of the free cities, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if those, if they play a bigger part into like the Targaryen Civil War and what's going on. Because right now we know at least Pentos and Valentis are funding the crab feeder and his like what did they call last week? His rebellion, pretty much. I wonder if Bravos going to get in on the action, because I personally got excited because we know a certain house that resides in Bravos, and I'm not sure if we'll ever see it on the show, but I would love to see some people that just having to appear on the show that could take their face off. That would be great.
Nicholas Cage just joined Game of Thrones, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. But I would love to see the faceless man make an appearance on this show. The House in Black and White come back. That'd be amazing.
That would be amazing. So I absolutely love this opening scene because, as I said last week, I love Game of Thrones when it deals with intrigue, when it deals with wars, and when it deals with just the political backstabbing of different families. I think that's when it's at its best, and we see that here. Like we see a little bit of everything that will lead to the ending decision, which we'll get to for the king. So
Okay.
we now go into I keep saying her name wrong. Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra or Ray
Okay.
Ray. That's why I shortened it up. I might just call her Ray Ray from now on. Even though I like Rhaenyra, I like the name a lot.
All right, so yeah, I'm just gonna call her Ray Ray. So there we go. So it's sent to choose the knight who will protect her at all times. The knight all represent houses. So the houses are Karin, Macaster, Cobre, Rowan, Crakehall, and Tarley, with one knight representing himself, Sir Christian Cole.
Hmm. Yeah, and this is
We
one of the
so
yeah, this was one of those moments where I pretty much knew, like, okay, so if we see Homeboy from last week, he's most likely gonna be the knight she picks. But I liked her reasoning for it for sure, because and it's exactly how she threw it back at Homeboy Ilo Hightower. But like it's like she wanted a knight that actually had some combat experience, because all the other knights were just like, I think she just called them turning knights, and they were good with catching poachers, but she needed somebody that could actually fight to protect her father and stuff. And technically, and she picked the best knight for the job. Hopefully, he's loyal, but I think she still picked the best knight for the job.
yeah, I also feel like there's gonna be a romance there with between her and Cole because last episode she's the one who gave him her favor. She put
I I, I agree with you on that. However, part of me also wonders, because of the events at the end of this episode, I feel like she may become more estranged with her father and his family, his family, his upcoming family. So that may put her at odds with her knight that she picks. But it'll be interesting to see this. And this is one of those things where if I don't know if I'm right or I'm wrong, but if anybody in the comments want to, don't tell me, please. I just want to go on with throughout the season. I'm trying to avoid everything like spoilery as possible because I had no idea about pretty much anything of the show. I kind of got spoiled about the big thing about this episode last week, but that was my own fault. And then plus it's a book, but I'm like, la, 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 don't hear it.
Yeah, so Ray Ray chooses Cole, who bested her uncle in the tournament and who she gave a favor to in episode 1. Cole has seen war before, making Ray Ray choose him, which, again, as we just talked about, is a great reason. Now we go into Allison, who is talking to both the king and all at separate times to get them to communicate with each other since the passing of Emma and Renara becoming the heir. They have drifted apart. Renara tells Allison that she wants the king to see her more than his little girl, and that she was only chosen to stop Damon from getting the role of heir. Go ahead, Z.
Yeah, I think this was a very nice scene and kind of it's soft the right word. It was kind of a nice character moment between these two before the upcoming storm that was going to be on their way, because we saw again. I liked their relationship last week, and of course, it made me think maybe something more was going on. But it seems like they actually had a very honest friendship up until not really last week, but up until this episode. And of course, we'll elaborate more why. But it was in this moment, it still felt like Allison still, and maybe she still does now, but she still loves Rhaenyra in a very friendly way, and she still wants the best because she's actually looking to help release some stress from Rhaenyra. And while I think Allison thought that she was going to be talking to her mom or something, but Rhaenyra was actually just like you said, she's wanting her father to see her more than just his little girl and stuff, just his little heir. But I understand why she wants to see more. However, at the same time, I see why he's still so protective as well. But yeah.
Yeah, so I love how pure she is, but I don't know if that's a trick. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried the hammer's gonna fall eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I love how she's just there for her friends. Allison
Agree.
Seems like she really cares for Renara.
Agree. It seems like she's very genuine.
Yeah, especially at the loss of her mother, which, by the way, we didn't talk about. They did a time jump, a 6-month time jump in this episode.
Yeah, that caught me way by surprise whenever they mentioned that at the council meeting earlier that it's been 6 months that Damon's been on Dragonstone. I'm like, wait, what? We're just you're gonna take us into the future like that? It makes me wonder if we're gonna do a lot more based on like the previews for next week too. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely need to talk about that. So let's get into the weird discussion for the episode. Corlys tells the king that the only way they can show strength and power is for their families to bond by having the king marry Corlys' 12-year-old daughter, Lady Rhaenyra, that will link the two strongest families in Westeros and show the strongest days are ahead.
Okay, major pause. Whenever I first saw this scene, and I'm taking like deep inside my mindset at that point. Whenever I saw Corlys and Rhaenys offering for their daughter, like offering their daughter to be the new queen to the king, in my head, I didn't even think about the fact. Okay, aren't Rhaenys and Viserys cousins? We've seen with her. We've seen brother and sister produce one normal child. We've seen brother and sister do that before, but cousins, not necessarily. Nothing too wrong. But also, I was thinking, I know we saw those two little kids at last week's episode. Surely surely they have an older, surely they have an older daughter that we don't know about. Nope. I was so pissed when I saw Viserys walking down, when he was walking the throne with that little girl. I was visibly upset. I'm like, you bastard. I'm like, I can't believe, and I felt like Viserys was as uncomfortable about it as I was. Like,
Yep.
she, and I thought she was 10, but I mean, I was
Yeah.
discussing at 10, and then to hear that she's 12 doesn't make it any better. I'm like, Corliss. I'm like, I know it's a powerful move in Westeros times, but it might make sense power wise. It's just disgusting as a viewer to me. Like, oh, I can't believe this.
But on the bright side, she does say that her mom said she doesn't have sex with him until she's 14.
It's sad that that's the bright side, but yeah, but yeah, it did seem like Rhaenys was more realistic about the she was telling the truth to her daughter about like, listen, you don't have to do this until you're 14. And again, this is the times again the times of the show that we're in, the show is set in is set 200 years before the Game of Thrones that we even know about, and crazy stuff went down in that show. But this, like, a 12-year-old marrying off your 12-year-old daughter just seems super to me.
I definitely agree. But then we go into the queen who never was tells Renara that once the king marries, he will have a child who would take her place as heir to the king, showing a little resentment towards Renara.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I have like they had like a very kind of a stern back and forth between the two of them because I almost called her Millie, but Rhaenyra was throwing some slight little jabs at Rhaenys, and Rhaenys was just really reciprocating back, especially the line I think it was Rhaenyra had mentioned like I'm the king's future heir, and all those men all the men bowed down and name and recognize me as there. And then Raina said, "Oh, so do you tell?" Paraphrasing, of course. Oh, so you make sure you tell them that when you're handing them cups, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, those same guys that say that you're the heir. You aren't you filling their cups up, giving them drinks? I'm like,
Yeah,
it's a little sense, but in reality, part of me also believes. Well, I think Raina's I think she's still a little bit hurt from not becoming queen. I think she sees it a lot more realistically than Rhaenyra does because she's had her hopes up before. I don't think she wants Rhaenyra to have her hopes up as well. Like, yeah, this was a this was a very cool scene between the two of these ladies. I thought, and I kind of think it kind of explores maybe some deeper levels to their relationship, maybe, and maybe we'll see that blossom throughout in future episodes.
yeah. One can hope that we see a lot more of her. What's her name? I'm sorry, the queen who
Oh,
never was.
Rhaenys. It's Rhaenys and Rhaenyra. So it's literally just the R and then the S. It just the switch over. It's almost like she's pretty much her namesake kind of, but I think her and Viserys are cousins. Yeah, they're cousins.
So many cousins in this family, man.
Exactly.
So then we go into Otto Hightower. Between the two episodes, have been scheming to have his daughter Alicent grow close to the king, so that she would end up marrying the king, and he could be close to full power. Which, at this point, we can go ahead and go to the ending, which seems to have worked because at the end of the
Mhm.
episode, he chooses to wed Alicent Hightower instead of Lady Olenna Valerian.
Yeah, which in part of me was like, yep. And this is the reveal that was spoiled to me in like a video I watched over this past week. Like, I saw that she was going to end up being that Allison was going to become Rhaenyra's stepmother. I'm like, oh crap! So it's going to work. So yeah, so I can see why that is definitely going to have a strain on their friendship. But again, I think Allison, she was genuine to even the king. She was, even though her father made her go see the king last week, and I think he was the one that was, of course, kept goading her to go be of comfort to the king and talk to the king. I do think in the two scenes that I believe we had two scenes with Allison and the king this week. It seemed
Yeah.
like it didn't seem like she was. It seemed like she was genuine, even when she was talking to the king. When the king first broke his little dragon, and then when she came back and they were talking about the when he wanted to get her opinion about the whole marrying Liana. And wait, is it, no Lena? Oh God, I'm sorry, Liana. When she went, when he wanted her opinion on marrying little Liana Valerian. She was supportive in that. So while part of me hopes that she even though again she's 15, but hopefully she'll be a good, at least sensible, loving wife to Viserys. I still don't. I don't think Viserys is long for this world, and we'll elaborate on that more later. But yeah, I see it. I see it. I see this being pretty much kind of the cause for the struggle with the Civil War because last week, one of Damon's last words, well, when he was talking to his brother, was like the whole council was out to get you. They're a bunch of snakes, and I see Al Hightower for who he is. See you next Tuesday, specifically. So, yeah, yeah, I think this is going to be a big linchpin in the cause for this Targaryen Civil War.
So at this point, we can call Otto Hightower the little finger of this season.
Yeah, and gosh, I hope I'm saying his name right. Reese Ifrans. I love him being in this show so much. It's like he has the perfect slimy like type of yeah, perfect slime ball. When that look he gave Corliss at the end, like, bitch, I won. you know he you know what? He reminds me of live action Jafar, pretty much. He looks like a live action Jafar in a way.
Oh my god, he does.
Perfect slime, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so on this sequence, I love the scene where at the beginning when Allison and the king are talking, the dragon break,
Mhm,
but as the stone maker make him a brand new one. He gives it to him as a gift. But
mhm.
again, it's a 50-year-old man marrying a 15-year-old. I don't know. Like I'm conflicted.
The bad thing about this show is it's literally making us say, "Oh, okay, whoo, he's not marrying the 12-year-old. He's marrying a 15-year-old, but he's not marrying the 12-year-old. Whoo, that's what a relief." Why, why doesn't anybody in power have like a good 30-year-old daughter or something that they can punt on the king? Or, even 18 years old daughter that they can just punt off to the king. Come on, people. But then
It's
again,
like
that's not
look,
that.
she's not 12, she's 15. That's a whole lot better.
Yeah, right. And then that just even thinking about the Lena marriage and Corliss part still just upsets me when I think about it. Like,
And mentioned like Alice's father, Otto, in the last two episodes have been pushing his daughter to give her virginity to the king.
don't say push it. He's been pimping his daughter out. Period. That's what it is. He's pimping his daughter out to the king. Plain and simple. like, damn, Otto. Oh, in the scene where he looks at her nails, like, why do you, I forgot the words he said, but like, why are you still destroying yourself? Like, oh, you're like the mangliest girl in court or something. Hey, but by the way, are you gonna see the king later? Bitch, like, you look at your daughter, she has some kind of issue, but yet that's not the most important thing. You're gonna go see the king tonight, right? Right? Hey, bruh.
So again, right now I trust Allison, but I don't know if this was a plan with her and her father the whole time. I am
Mhm.
waiting for that dagger to be like this was a whole plan. This was the Hightower plan the whole time.
Yeah, it will hurt. It won't hurt to it will hurt a little bit to see if Allison was in on this all along, but I'm not saying myself to be completely surprised by it, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if this is father daughter plan period.
So let's get to, in my opinion, the MVP of this episode. Daemon Targaryen, Matt freaking Smith. Oh my God, what a performance! Um, so Daemon has taken the dragon's egg from the dragon pit when Rhaenyra asked what egg was stolen. The dragon tamer says it was the same one chosen for her brother's cradle, also known as Greenfire.
Mm-hmm.
So I I understand the time jump, but now seeing that Daemon has named himself Prince of Dragonstone, I
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see what happened in the middle of that 6 months. You know what I mean?
Agreed. Yeah, like I wonder why did he allow? Why did well? Part of me feels like Viserys again. I think he even mentioned at the beginning of the episode, like that Dame is just looking for attention. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to respond and give him the attention that he wants because of how he occupied Dragonstone 6 months ago. But so I think Viserys is just looking at that's his little brother just being a little brother. But it isn't until this scene where Viserys actually when he finds out that Dame is taking baby Balon's and that was supposed to be in his cradle to Dragstone that Viserys gets pissed off and he actually wants to act at that point. But I think Matt Damon. This is the second time I've done that. Matt Smith is playing Damon perfectly, and
Crazy.
twice, 2 times in 2 weeks, and I wonder if it's going to be 3 times in 3 weeks. But like I think it's going to be interesting to see if where that their relationship goes in the coming weeks, especially regarding how the king is pretty much going to marry Allison. But I'm glad this is really the only thing I know Matt Smith from. Like I knew he was from Doctor Who, but
Wow.
spoiler alert to my future TV opponents. I've never seen Doctor Who, never watched episodes of Doctor Who.
I have seen
But
Matt before. He was in Edgar Wright's film, his newest film.
wait,
Uh,
it's not. Oh, the Last Night in Soho. Or I think is that wait. Yeah,
Last Night.
one last night or one night in Soho. Yeah, the only thing I've ever seen Matt Smith in is in the classic, legendary movie, best movie some people say of 2022, Morbius.
Oh, Morbius.
And I mean, I thought he was good in that, but a little cheesy. But then again, he's 10 times greater in this show, and that's in 2 episodes. So like, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of him in throughout the series. However, I want to say he's my MVP of the episode though, because that comes up in pretty much a few minutes. But well, I'm sure
Your MVP is
yeah.
So speaking of your MVP, so Otto shows up to Dragonstone with Cole and the army by his side. He tells Daemon to leave this area and give up the dragon.
Rhaenyra. What you say? I'm sorry. What is that? Is that the name you were going for?
No,
Oh,
his wife or soon to be wife.
It's like Myaria. It's Myaria, and I can't remember how they. Massaria, I think.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
And to give up the dragon's egg when it looks like war is about to break out until Rhaenyra rides in on Cyrax. He tells Daemon that he's the princess of Dragonstone. That if he wants the power, Daemon must kill her. Daemon backs down and throws the egg to Rhaenyra. So from this moment, I see that Daemon respects more of his niece for standing up to him and the fact that he loves his family. In his mind, he has done nothing wrong. It's traditional for a child to have a dragon's egg in his cradle, and Dragonstone is where his ancestors live. He backs down out of love and respect for Rhaenyra.
Loved it. Loved it. I mean, even I was kind of ready to see them fight a little bit, like Damon and Otto, like come to blows, and Otto was ready to squabble too. But then when Saraxes, I think Damon's dragon, who pretty much sounds like kind of like a mix between a dragon and a raptor whenever he screeches, but like has his long ass neck, like okay, he's called dragon, but that sound like Jesus Christ. But like I was ready for to see him squabble, but then Damon offers the egg, like, come on, you want the egg? Get the egg, Otto. But no, and with the dragon behind him, Otto smartly puts his sword back. He tells all his men, like, just, don't worry, we're just gonna back up. You're gonna go with our king. That's your choice. But like you said, when my girl pops up, when you hear the dragon in the distance, part of me at first thought that there was another dragon like that Damon had, but then when you see Rhaenyra riding up on Cyrus, flying up on Cyrus, like, yeah, that's my girl. Ray stand for life. I'm like, I I loved it. And then the fact that he was able to do something, and again, I'm not even sure if the king would, if Viserys would have gotten Damon to back down as easily. And I've seen some things where some people have said that she kind of punked Damon. I don't think that's it at all. I think he genuinely I think he respects, like you said, his niece more than he respects his own brother. Like, he has more love for her than not saying that he doesn't love his brother, but I think he actually sees a path that Rhaenyra could actually be a good and powerful queen. But I think even in his mind, he knows that's not gonna happen. So I think he wants to stay as cool and on the good side with his niece as he possibly can. And even though he walks away and he says, "Here, you want this egg?" And he just throws it back and she catches it. But it was just epic. Like, and even Hightower tried to keep Rhaenyra from talking, but then like keep her back and stuff. But she was able to get her way. Like, I love this girl. I would be so proud of her if she was my daughter. And in my eyes, I'm seeing a lot of Rhaenyra. I'm seeing a lot of Rhaenyra and future Arya, pretty much. Like, I'm putting them pretty much on the same pedestal right now. Now, again, we know where Arya ends up. She's probably always going to be my number one. But Rhaenyra is like right there, 1A, let's say 1C, 1B, 1C. Like,
Okay. So see, to me, you and me are going to differ a little bit. I love Arya. My, my number one is always Tyrion Lannister.
yeah. Yeah,
And
Tyrion.
then from this episode, or from this series so far, I got to put Daemon close to the top, man. The fact that he's not another Joffrey, or he's just a villain that you want to hate. He's a villain. He's a villain with motive, and he's not even a villain.
See, that's my
his side, which I love.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I wouldn't, like you said, I wouldn't even call Damon a villain right now. He's in, not even anti-hero. I don't think you have to be a villain to be an antagonist. So I'm gonna say he's an antagonist kind of right now. However, there's a more powerful antagonist, and who's actually, I think, is a villain, which is Hightower. But yeah, Damon's just there's probably a word for a mix between a protagonist and an antagonist that's not anti-hero that I just can't think of. But I agree, Damon, he's up at the top. He's like my number 2 favorite of the show right now. Like, period. Like, I think he's a great character, and I don't think what happens later in the episode is really going to change that for me.
Yeah. So speaking of, it is revealed that Daemon made up the wedding and pregnancy of Mysteria, and she cares into him, telling him that she thought being with Daemon would give her freedom from being a pawn used by men. She tells Daemon that she made sure that she could never have children, and that she sees Daemon like the rest. So what I love is they're slowly starting to show you that Daemon is selfish, but sometimes that's what you need to be in order to be king. You need to be kind of selfish in order to kind of rule in a way. And what's cool is it's two sides of the same coin. Rhaenyra wants to find peace that doesn't have to go to war. She gets that from her father. Daemon, he won't find another peaceful way. If someone attacks, he's going to attack back without any care about it. Which sometimes as a king, you need to do that. If someone attacks you, you need to attack back without giving it any thought. Because as David said last episode, you are then seen as a weak king because you won't fight back when enemies come your way. So it's easier to take your throne, especially not fighting in the wars when he needs to, and also um, giving a woman as his heir has shown that the throne under Viserys's reign is getting weaker, and I feel like that's where we're going to get the end battle of Rhaenyra and Daemon.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, especially if Viserys was a stronger king, I don't think him naming Rhaenyra it would be a problem. But if he was a stronger king, he would shut that shit up quick. Like, sorry for cussing, I guess, but he would shut that up quick. Like any mumbling throughout the Seven Kingdoms, if somebody had a problem with him naming his Dark Kingdom, he would put them on notice, and that's it. But he's not, and it's again no. He should. I think even though I don't, Damon. This scene proved that Damon he just made up the invitation to the wedding and stuff. He just wanted a rise from his brother, but I think he also knew that he wasn't going to get it. And I think Viserys, when Damon 6 months ago, when he did not go back to the Vale like Viserys told him to, he should have sent some people up to Damon, or himself go to Damon and send his ass up to the wall. Viserys needed to be more forceful with something. He didn't have to kill his brother, but Damon directly disobeyed the king's order. There should be some type of punishment for that, but there wasn't. And unfortunately, I think that's what's letting people throughout the Seven Kingdoms know, even across in the Free Seas, know that you mess with this king, what? He's not gonna do anything about it. You mess with you have the crab feeder like taking shipping lanes in his kingdom. Viserys isn't doing anything about it, which unfortunately make little Rhaenyra look weak as well, even though she's not in the position of power to do anything about it, because she wanted to send the dragon riders and herself out to go take out the crab feeder earlier, but Viserys is like, no, you go not play with your dolls, but pretty much that's what he's telling her. You go find something else to do. Go pick a knight. Like, I'm like, come on, man. Like, your daughter has a good idea. You need to show some force here, but nope, he doesn't. So I think that's pretty much leading to the downfall of Viserys. Like, not even just not his health, but just his reign.
Yeah, I have a theory that this is going to be, with especially the mistake he made this episode um, by choosing Allison to marry.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be the downfall. I think what's his name? Sorry, Corlys is going to get his revenge somehow.
You know what that reminded me of? Like this scene with Corlys and we won't talk about it now, but with Corlys and Daemon, and how you say it's the downfall. Do you remember? I can't. I know it was season 3, but I think it was Laura Stark who said it. But when he was talking about the war, he's like, I believe the moment we lost this war is when Rod married. I can't remember his wife's name at that time, but I believe we lost this war when he married that woman, which.
Yeah.
That is what happened. That's when Walter Frey became pissed and stuff. So I think, like you said, this moment, as disgusting as it was, this decision is pretty much going to be the downfall. By him choosing Allison over Lena is going to be the reason why Viserys' reign comes in.
So here's a question for you. Get into a little theories before we talk about something else. We know a wedding's coming up. We don't know what episode. Do you feel like this is going to be another red wedding situation where Corlys kills the king out of spite?
I don't think it'll be that way because technically, technically in a way, well, I'm not sure if Rhaenyra can become queen if she's not of age just yet. But I think right now, since she's his heir, she would be the one to maybe to succeed him in a way. So I don't think Corlys.
End of talking about the end of the episode, at the end,
Hmm.
what's coming up next episode or whatever, we
Yeah,
see that they have a son. So the
yeah.
king has a son that would probably take over as heir.
Well,
Which
well, yeah,
would
but the son that we see is definitely like a little baby at baby at that point. Even though in the future, again, we don't know when the way. Well, the way is probably going to take place in the next couple, maybe next episode or something. Because I'm not even sure if you can be named the heir until you're married to the. Yeah, I don't think you can be made the heir until you're married to the woman as your wife or something. So they may get married next episode, possibly. But yeah, I don't think we'll have a red wedding type of situation just yet. I think there'll be. I won't call it. Well, it won't be the red wedding, but I think there'll be. I think there'll be more of a Joffrey birthday cake type of birthday scene more than red wedding scene eventually this season.
the purple wedding.
Yeah, there we go. Purple wedding. That's what it was. Yeah.
So the only reason I asked that is because with the time jump, and you gotta think it's gonna be another at least 9 or 10 months time
Mhm.
jump. She would
That's
have
true.
had been pregnant and then had the kid at that time. But we don't know what the time jump is gonna be. So possibly if it's say a year or two, then at that point Rhaenyra would be of age to take over the throne if he died.
That's true. That's true. And that's also that's what kind of makes me want. I don't think they will want to kill him just kill him just yet while heir with Rhaenyra being the heir, not Damon or Corlys. I don't think they would want to do that. Because bad thing is, I think if Rhaenyra is not of age, I think the person who becomes king if something happens to the king is the hand. I'm not sure. Quite, don't quote me on that, but I think that would make Hightower king, and nobody wants that.
Which no, I mean to be fair, it may go to his wife, so Alicent may become queen
Ooh,
because
that's
I
true. That,
because she has a son who will not be able to, almost like Cersei,
Cersei.
who could not become king until he's older, so she became queen until he was of age.
Yeah, that's very possible. Oh my God, Queen Alison Hightower as an idol being her hand, maybe basically the
Yeah,
one that's whispering her ear. That's a scary sight right there.
and that's what I think's gonna happen. Because why would they set this up to have Alicent marry the king if it wasn't to give her power in a way?
Well, I think personally think it's to divide Rhaenyra from her father, which I think is going to do. And just because again, there's a future in some future episode, and this is because of the previews. You see Damon and older Rhaenyra, played by Eve D'Arcy. I think yeah, Eve D'Arcy. In the future, the two of them are kind of in a gentle moment, like on the beach somewhere, and just like they're looking into the gaze, like they're on the same side. They look like to me. So I think eventually this decision is going to create such a hostility between Rhaenyra and Alicent, which in turn is going to create a hostility between Rhaenyra and her father, which is probably going to cause Viserys to renounce her as heir. Yeah, renounce is the right word, and or denounce, and basically push her over to Daemon's side in a way. I think.
That could be interesting because they never said what the Targaryen Civil War was. They never said if it was between Daemon and Rhaenyra. I thought about that. But what if it's Rhaenyra joining Daemon against Viserys?
That's true. And Viserys, and do we want to say the name of the baby just yet or not, or the name
Let's,
of the child, which I thought
let's
was interesting.
just a little bit.
Okay.
So let's just get into more of our theory. So my theory is one of two. Either, as you said, Alicent marrying Viserys is going to push Rhaenyra away, and she's going to join Daemon's side. And then, because remember, in the intro video, we see a like there's a picture on a stone of the dances of the dragon.
Oh.
So either the king uses his dragon,
Mm,
and you literally have a three-way dance of dragons,
mm.
or the king gets killed in a red wedding or purple wedding situation, backed by not only Otto but Allison, so Allison can get power.
That's very possible. That's very possible, especially with Ilo behind anything. Like he would easily stab Viserys in the back. And actually, I personally think he's doing it already because that same cut that we saw him have when he cut his finger in the last episode is right in the way, and they have that whole magazine which I off. But I think I think Ilo's been poisoning the king for a while now, and I think it's working. It's definitely working.
Think about that. So he poisoned the sword on the throne. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so in some way. Yeah, I don't know how, but I'm sure there's some type of milk of the poppy type of ointment that you could rub on steel seats and stuff that could leave a cut like that. Like,
Because
yeah,
the cut's not getting better; it's getting worse.
it's getting a whole lot worse, which
So
I
I
thought
wonder
was
if this is like a purple wedding situation where like maybe he goes to marry Allison, they get married, and then he gets killed because the poison finally takes over his body.
it's either that or I think like you said last week's episode for a Targaryen, the throne is cursed because like the pursuit of the throne, the Iron Throne itself is just cursed for Targaryens because man, if you're a Targaryen, you do not need to be on that throne. The best thing to have been Targaryen that's on that throne, that could have been on that throne. He was sent north of the wall to live. No, he was sent to the wall and ended up going beyond the wall to live his life in peace. So yeah.
Yep. So let's get into that's pretty much the end of the episode. We've pretty much talked about all the. So let's get into the previews for the next few episodes because we heard a very interesting name, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We actually thought, ooh, this. I'm like, okay, so this is he's definitely most likely going to be king. I guess, maybe. Like
So
this,
I'm sorry.
a young Aegon Targaryen. I'm not sure. I don't think he's the first Aegon that's been in the bloodline, but this this is the first time I think we've heard of an Aegon. Well, we've seen at least a little baby Aegon so far that has the very right. That's going to be the heir to the throne, and he's most likely going to be king sooner or later.
I do have a question because it's been a while since I rewatched Game of Thrones. I've heard that before, but I don't know where I've heard it. It was mentioned in the original show, correct?
Well, yeah. It's the thing. I'm not quite. When it comes to I know Aegon was a king. I'm just not sure which because they have so many names. Again, spoiler alert for if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, the actual show. I'm going to give you the 5 count, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When I bring up my hand again, you can come back. But Aegon is Jon's real name, but I'm not sure what Aegon he is, and please feel free to let me know in the comments if he's like Aegon the third or fourth or something like that.
Oh,
And then
I know there are 2 Aegons who have been king. Aegon 1 and Aegon 2.
yeah, and then I'm also not sure if there's also Master Aemon's little brother was named Egg because he was like egg when he was in his delirium before he was dying. He was talking about egg and stuff. Stop crying and stuff. So his brother's name was Egg. Well, no, I think his brother was either he was a brother to the Mad King. So Egg is Aegon is either Master Aemon's uncle or like I think there's a close relation between Aemon and Aegon. So I'm just not sure what Aegon this kid is going to be. Pretty much,
It would be interesting if, and I don't know if the timeline adds up or not, if he is the father of Jon Snow.
Well, no, because Rhaegar is the wait, Rhaegar. Yeah, Rhaegar is the father of Jon Snow, and Rhaegar's father was Aerys, but he could be, you know what? He could be the father of Aemon and Aerys, the Mad King and Master Aemon. So that could be. that he could possibly be their father or either their uncle. But I think this is where we're getting closer and closer to the start of the series because again of the main series because again y'all can come back now, no real spoilers here, but uh a this show started 172 years before Game of Thrones, and what and of course we've had a 6 month time period already in this show in this between episode 1 and 2, and eventually we're gonna see, like you said, the baby's born. He looks probably like he's maybe 9 or 10 months old at that point. So it's probably gonna be another year time jump in between now and the next episode, somewhere around that. So we're getting and then Master Aim himself, he could have been anywhere from in the main series, he could have been anywhere between like 80 and 100. So I think we're getting closer to that generation than we were, of course, last week.
This takes place before the reign of the Mad King, correct?
Yes, is it? Yeah, yeah. 172 years before. 172 years before he died and Daenerys is born. So yeah.
Do you
And I'm
think,
not. Go ahead.
because we have season 2 coming out, do you think there'll become a point where we will see the Mad King reign in the series?
Last week I would have said no, but seeing how they're time jumping, I think so. I wouldn't say season. I wouldn't say this season. I say it would be one of the perfect ways to bookmark into season 3, like from Aerys Targaryen, first, second, third of his name, or whatever, to be named king of the Andals and the Seven Men, and that would be a perfect, in my opinion, a great last shot of season 2 or season 3 if they want to.
Yes, because then if you go to the end of season 3, then season 4 could be the reign of the Mad King, leading to his death, which would then lead to episode 1 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and then unfortunately that means I think it would be time to pretty much end the show. Like that'll be the end of the House of Dragon because we know pretty much what happened.
So,
What was that?
like I'm fine with that. 5 great seasons and then 8
Agree.
seasons of Thrones.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't need to go on too long because sometimes you can sour yourself in the fan base. But yeah, I think a good 4 seasons at 10 episodes, 4 or 5 seasons at 10 episodes apiece. As long as you have a perfect bookmark, even if the last thing of the show, the last shot of the show was Aerys Targaryen becoming the king of the Seven Kingdoms, we already know what's going to happen
Yeah.
with his reign. So if that's how they wanted to end the show in general, I'd be perfectly fine with that. But it'll be interesting. I would want. I do. I'm also interested in know. Again, this is completely theory crafting right here. We're not sure. Let's see where we go, how we get from here to there eventually.
Yeah, because I've always said a great show would have been seeing the reign and fall of the Mad King.
Mhm.
We only get a little bit of details from Danny in the original show,
That's true.
but I've always been interested as to like what caused him to become so mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And besides the coin flip, which I was not joking about and saying last week, I do think something. Seeing how Viserys is being afflicted by the throne and stuff like that, I wouldn't be surprised even if something happened to Aerys eventually, to the Mad King, that made him. If somebody was poisoning his mind, pretty much, and poisoning him, that made him become the Mad King that he eventually is. But yeah,
I,
so
I
that would be.
makes sense, but at this point, doesn't Jamie Lannister kill the Mad King?
Well, yeah, but he does that out of duty because again, Aerys, the Mad King, he was about to burn all the King's Landing down with the wildfire, but to make sure that didn't happen, Jamie is the one. Yeah, Jamie stabbed him in the back and basically became the Kingslayer.
So, fitting that like Jamie stops one Targaryen from burning down King's Landing, just to have another one burn down King's Landing.
Yeah, yeah. It was gonna happen sooner or later. If it wasn't gonna be Aerys, it was gonna be his daughter.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of like tying this into Game of Thrones, do you feel like this will tie in perfectly to Game of Thrones, or do you feel like it's its own standalone set so many years prior to the event?
I think it will. I think it will eventually. Again, I think it's perfectly well enough that I myself haven't found any contradictions between what we heard in Game of Thrones and what we've heard so far in these past two episodes. There may be other people out there that have, and please let me know. Please let us know if you have. But I think it's eventually going to tie in greatly to perfectly to Game of Thrones. I'm okay with not doing that yet. I don't need to see so many Easter eggs and like of everything that we've seen in Game of Thrones now yet. Eventually, I'm gonna want to see that. Like again, I would love to see the House of Black and White, and even if somehow my perfect moment for me would be if Jack and Hagar is actually 200 or 2,000 years old and he pops up in the show. We don't know, but
Yeah.
but we don't. I don't need to see that in episode 3. If I saw that in episode 8 of season 2, perfect.
Yeah. Because again, I think we're getting too far into like how is this gonna, tie in Game of Thrones. I find myself doing that a lot. And I have
Mm,
to not only is it set so many years before the event, but they're telling their own unique story about the Dance of the Dragon,
mm,
the Targaryen bloodline, and the Targaryen civil war that we heard about from the main series that we never
agree.
in detail. I do love seeing um like places from the original Game of Thrones that show up in here, like Dragonstone, like
Well, yeah,
like we see the how it looked previously, and then if you watch Game of Thrones, you see that kind of weathered down and that it's burnt. You know something happened there.
agree.
So
Like it's go ahead.
okay,
Like
no,
it's
okay,
perfect. Like you're saying, it's perfect to have these little Easter eggs and stuff. Like I guess you can call them Easter eggs. Again, like how we mentioned last week, how it's cool to see. It's cool to see how King's Landing is now compared to how we know it from the main series. But that's all I personally really want. If I can see locations and stuff like that from the main series, perfect. I don't need to hear anything about like I don't need to see. Oh, of course, nobody's born yet, but I don't really need to spend too much time in Winterfell or in Dorne or in the Reach or Highgarden or whatever. But to see the locations, see how they were 200 years ago or 172 years, I think that's fine to go through. If we even want we want to do that this season, that's perfect. I don't want to. I don't think I want to spend any time with any other families other than Targaryens right now. Like this is
I,
their show. Let's learn about their history, and then we can see how eventually this civil war branches out and affects the other houses and stuff.
yeah. So speaking of other houses, do you feel like going forward, say they have 4 or 5 seasons, do you feel like we're going to see more houses and people that we're used to seeing? Like maybe Robert Baratheon shows up in like season 5 or season 6, or
You,
maybe
you, yeah,
um
I think. Go ahead.
no. So I wonder if after the Mad King dies, Robert Baratheon takes over as king.
Well, yeah. Which again, if they want to show the end of the Mad King's reign, it would if they wanted to show the Mad King's reign, like of how he became of when he first became king to the end to his fall, pretty much in season 5. Let's say we'll just say season 5 for now. It would be cool to see how Robert's rebellion pretty much got started and stuff, and how Rhaegar stole Lyanna and stuff and took her to the Tower of Joy. However, the weird thing about that would be, well, no, actually, you could do it. You don't need to have the same actors or anybody play anything because the only actor that I think we actually saw in Game of Thrones was a young Ned Stark at the time. So I mean, I'm sure that actor. I'm not sure if the actor's doing anything, but I'm sure he could reprise that role as Ned Stark, and we could just get a whole new crew. One thing I would be very interested in seeing if they do decide to go that route at the end of the show. I personally can't. It's kind of morbid. I can't wait to see how Eris burns the stars. You know, like how uh, I think it was Ned's father and brother that went up to went down to King's Landing and got burnt by Eris. So yeah, and then
So,
also go ahead.
oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
I want to see how bad how the degradation of degradation of the dragons as well, because like but from now we got at least two dragons, actually maybe three, because I think the little girl Lena mentioned that uh a dragon called Vahar or something, who was like one of the biggest and baddest dragons of Valyria is still around somewhere. They just don't know where.
Or
But so
because
we four of them. Oh yeah, Dreamfire is one too.
Free Fire is one.
Yeah. So I would love to see how we go from at least four dragons being in the world right now to zero dragons being in the world and only three dragonettes. So
Well, I have a feeling that the Dancing of the Dragon probably killed most of them.
possibly, possibly. And then
Cause,
if the high towers end up on the throne, they'll definitely want to kill the dragons.
yeah, which do you feel like a high tower will be king by the end of this season?
I wouldn't be like you said. I wouldn't be surprised if Allison ends up on the throne as queen, if she's the actual queen of the Seven Kingdoms. And I swear I don't. And I think eventually they're going to probably be eradicated, unless I mean Aegon would be a king, but he would take the Targaryen last name. But I don't remember, and please let me know if I do. I don't remember the High Towers at all in the main series. So
I
I
don't
feel like that.
remember like the victors choose history as well. So
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if the High Tower name is completely wiped out, even though technically their blood is still in the Targaryens, mixed blood and stuff. But the name I think will go down because again, the High Towers are supposedly from Old Town, which we know of in the main series as where the Citadel is and stuff like that. So that's the only thing I know about Old Town myself, is that's where Sam was with the Citadel and stuff like that, and that's where the Maesters are.
so when looking at the names of the houses, one really stood out to me, and that's the house Tully. House
Totally.
Tully. House
Mhm.
Tully. I've heard that last name before, but I can't remember where I've heard it.
Well, if it was Tully, that's Catelyn's Catelyn's last name. Catelyn Stark's last name. You know her house, the Blackfish. That was the Tully name. Now, if it was Charlie, it's Sam's last name.
So hold on, let me see if I can see how it's spelled.
Yeah.
It's it's Tarly, Tarly.
Oh yeah, that's Samwell. That's Samwell. Yeah, Sam, Charlie, and his brother Dick Gunn, and the father and stuff. That yeah.
What Easter egg?
hmm Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to hear the names again. Like I think I've even heard the name Mouster. I'm pretty sure from the main series. I just can't think of who they were for the main series.
Yeah. So, Zaddeus, we have officially hit over the length of the episode once again. Is there anything that we didn't bring up that you want to bring up before we head out?
Well, not really. I think we touched on it briefly about the meeting between Corliss and Damon at the end of the show, like how he went over to Driftmark. Well, no, I think Damon ended up going to Driftmark to meet Corliss on his own land or whatever. But I think while it seems like they were kind of plotting against the king a little bit, I think they're really just. I think he's really going to Damon to settle his own score with the crab feeder and stuff. So I think again with the previews from next week, we see like a little battle going on with Corliss and Damon and I guess the crab feeder's men and stuff until somebody's dragon comes in and whips some ass. But don't know whose
So,
dragon it could be. But
crab, was it Crab Grabber, right?
a crab feeder.
Yeah. Do you feel like
Yeah.
him and his pirates are going to be almost like the Night King and the zombies? of the
No,
season.
I think they're gonna be for some reason I think they're gonna be easier than that. I don't see them being a big. I think they're a minor threat for now. Like I think there's gonna be somebody. I think somebody who's ever. We know the free cities are funding them, but I think there's another shadowy figure behind that. I personally kind of think it's Littlefinger, Hightower, that's funding the Craft Eater somehow. And actually, you know what? It's high. There was a little share between Hightower and I think the Maester earlier in this episode. Like whenever they were talking about the king remarrying and stuff like that, there's like a little slight solid look between them. I wouldn't be surprised if the two of them are in cahoots. Like if Hightower's made the Maester pretty much poison the king. But then again, that's just a theory for now.
So the question I have is like, I feel like the Craft Eater and his pirates are going to be on the same level of the Night King and the army, only because they dedicated a good 5 to 6 minutes of just the brutality of these guys.
It was gruesome.
So
Oh my
I don't
god.
know why they would show that. It shows that's so tight, where you want to show everything,
Hmm.
you know
Well,
show everything that's important. So why would they show
hmm.
that they're not going to be a major threat? Which I have a feeling that might be why right. I can't say her name correctly.
Rainier?
Yeah, Rhaenyra joins up with Daemon because she's a bigger threat coming from the free city.
It's possibly it could possibly could be. I think they're showing you the brutality of it. Uh, and just that scene of that guy with when all the crabs were pretty much at A Delore having that one person's body, and yet I think they were still moving and still alive at that point. That was very gruesome, but I think they're pretty much just showing the brutality of the craft feeder so we would just see how important it is that something gets done about how important it is that something gets done to stop this guy, and pretty much to show how weak Viserys is pretty much by not doing anything about it. Because personally, I feel like this guy, like we've talked about, he's brutal and something needs to be done. And Viserys is just kind of twiddling his thumbs about it. While it looks like at least Daemon and Corlys are about to take action against the Craft Eater. But I think he'll be a threat throughout the season. But when I say minor threat, when I think of the Night King and his army, that's not even that's a apocalyptic threat almost. They were so far above major threat. They were pretty much in game. They were Thanos level. They were a threat that lasted pretty much all 8 seasons. Well, let's say 7. I don't think these guys will have that type of the Cravier and his people will have that type of pretty much reign of terror.
Okay, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Why am I getting? All right, so again, I haven't watched Game of Thrones in a long time. So you have to excuse my memory being shit. Jason Momoa in season 1 is a what army is he a part of?
He's the leader of the Dothraki, but
Yeah,
yeah, they're all the way in Essos.
I know, but why am I getting like that type of brutality from the free city? You know,
It actually, well, it very well could be because you know that's probably that could be the type of warriors that you have because like it was like I always said that you never want to see a Dothraki in the open field, like in the open field, and it could be like the same type of brutality with these guys with the craft eater and his men. And also, if I'm not mistaken, the brief appearance of the Golden Company that we had in season 8, they were supposed to be some badasses from Essos that pretty much did nothing in season 8 of Westeros in Westeros. So I'm sure there's some major threats across that some pretty major threats from the east that's gonna affect Westeros throughout the series.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All right, Z
Mhm.
Matt, I think that's where we are going to cut it off. We're an hour and 10 minutes into this. So Z, where can you find you online?
Good people, y'all can find me on all the socials, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at Zaddeus Smith. That's ZA2Ds EUS. On Twitter, more specifically at the_ZADD. And again, on Instagram at my name's Zaddeus. And I do trivia on with the multiplexes with the MTC. You can find me on YouTube videos and Facebook groups and stuff like that. Watch the videos, and of course, we'll always be right here on Monday nights to recap House of Dragons, but on Beyond the Thrones. But yo, go back and check out the Beyond the Throne episodes that we did of season 8. Just go ahead, you already here. You already watching Beyond the Thrones. Go watch your own stuff too. And if you're not watching live, please feel free to listen to this throughout the day, every next day at work or whatever. That's what I like to do personally. So
Awesome, Z. All right, guys, if you did enjoy this, click the like button, check out the Network down below. You guys